ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون إنكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
For years, your children have been enjoying the best, Nutrilac, adapted to suit your little one's dietary needs. Nutrilac has always taken care of your children and brings nature's best, plus vitamins and minerals, to give your baby the strength and protection it needs. Zinc, the power behind your baby's intelligence, helping your little one grow up smarter and wise. Selenium, the protector of your baby's immunity, so that he can fight disease. Vitamin D, to give your baby healthy bones and teeth and to make him grow strong and powerful. Discover these 3 superpowers in the new Nutrilac Immunoprotect formula. For inquiries about Nutrilac Immunoprotect, contact Fawani Enterprise, Banjul on 7191815. Nutrilac, everything your baby needs to grow.
Hero Baby Milk is now available in the Gambia. Hero Baby is a leading brand of baby food in different countries of Europe. Hero Baby is produced under the most modern and secure processes to guarantee to mothers that they are giving their babies the highest quality product. Hero Baby counts on its own Institute of Infant Nutrition, supported by the most important health professionals and organizations worldwide, so the correct ingredients are used towards each stage of a baby's development. Hero Baby, always the best for your baby.
Broadcasting live for viewers in the Gambia and around the world, this is GRTS News at 2200 hours. We begin with the headlines tonight. President Adama Barrow inaugurates the new Gambian High Commission and Chancery in Riyadh as part of his week-long official visit to the Holy Kingdom. Actors and stakeholders in basic education convene a 2-day conclave to integrate disaster risk reduction into the school curriculum. and reviving Africa's culture and tradition in a thrilling exposition. The Global Youth Parliament Gambia chapter launches the Environmental Heroes Challenge with a quest to keep the metropolis clean and safe. And in sports, Africell presents a check for $50,000 to rising wrestler Leket of Bara as champion of the Jam Promotion Wrestling Competition. And on the internationals, the Congolese government has imposed a curfew in Benin city of North Kivu province following Sunday's coordinated bomb attacks. Well, these and many other stories coming ahead in this edition of the News at 2200 Hours. Thank you for joining us. Many thanks for joining GRTS News with me, Fatoumata Cham. Well, we begin this edition of the bulletin with the President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, who today inaugurated the new Gambian High Commission and Chancery in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. The inauguration is part of President Barrow's week-long official visit to the Holy Kingdom that is nearing its end. As Momodou Jallo reports, the new High Commission is located in the diplomatic estate of the Saudi capital and provides conducive working environment for the commissioner and staff. This is his report.
The Gambian flag flew for the first time at its new home in Riyadh. It has taken nearly 30 years to realize this ambitious dream of a new embassy and chancery in Saudi Arabia after the authorities allocated this piece of land to the Gambia in 1989. This follows the Saudi government's directive to relocate all diplomatic missions to a more secure and service-friendly environment. The new Gambian embassy is located in the heavily fortified diplomatic quarters within the Saudi capital, Riyadh. All the embassies accredited to this country are located within this very important district of the Saudi capital. And its inauguration marks an important milestone in Saudi-Gambia relations, as for the first time, the Gambia boasts of a new embassy and a chancery that will house all the diplomatic staff accredited to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
President of the Republic of the Gambia.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, presided over the official inauguration ceremony, attended by cabinet ministers, foreign diplomats accredited to Saudi Arabia, and the Saudi Minister of State for African Affairs, Ahmed Katan. Omar Jibril Saleh is the Gambia's ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia.
I would like to inform you that there are almost 100 diplomatic missions based in Riyadh. The Gambia government approved an evaluation report of the tender for the construction of a new chancery building and ambassador's residence at this site.
Construction works on the embassy and chancery began in 2015 after government approved the project and provided funding.
This project entails the construction of a one-story chancery building covering an area of 525 square meters of office spaces, meeting rooms, VIP room, reception, visa processing area, and praying room, the masjid, in the ground floor. The first floor comprises the office of the ambassador, head of mission, the conference room, together with a sitting room and offices of the secretarial staff. All the office spaces are fully furnished with state-of-the-art equipments.
On behalf of his government and the Gambian people, His Excellency President Barrow extended what he called profound gratitude to Saudi King, His Highness Salman bin Abdulaziz, and Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for allocating the land.
I must admit that the structures are impressively beautiful and solid. They aptly reflect and symbolizes the excellence, bilateral relations and cordial bonds that so happily exists between the governments and the peoples of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and the Republic of the Gambia. I congratulate the ambassador and staff most heartily on this laudable achievement.
The project took 7 years to complete and is solely funded by government in a new initiative championed by the President. to ensure that all Gambian missions abroad have permanent structures owned by government.
I am proud that the government of the Gambia undertook to fully fund the construction of this beautiful edifice, to provide a conducive and secure office and residence for the embassy and the ambassador, respectively. Even though it took 7 years to accomplish the project, it is a more sustainable arrangement and a model that could save the country annual rent payments of up to $100,000. Indeed, it was worth investing over $4 million to own this magnificent building and its furniture.
President Barrow, however, advised the ambassador and staff to maintain the building and its facilities, whilst urging the Finance Ministry to replicate this project in other missions such as Senegal, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone, where land has already been allocated. After cutting the ribbons marking the formal opening of the embassy, President Barrow was taken on a tour of the building and later the ambassador's residence. The president and delegation then returned to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel, where he is expected to receive Saudi government officials. Momodu Jallo, GRTS News.
Well, let's now turn our attention to the education sector, where officials of the basic and secondary education, in collaboration with the National Disaster Management Agency and other partners, today convened a two-day meeting. And as Babasila reports, the forum held at the Regional Education Office in Kanifing is set to integrate disaster risk reduction into the school's curriculum for improved disaster preparedness and mitigation. We have more in this report.
Disasters are inevitable, and until proper mitigation mechanisms are put in place, its consequences will continue to negatively impact the life and livelihoods of people, particularly the vulnerable. This is the first time school authorities are partnering with stakeholders to design a study program in disaster risk reduction management for students as a new way to create awareness towards unforeseeable natural disasters. The Executive Director of National Disaster Management Agency, Senad Haba, is one of the major proponents behind the scheme, moving to use education to strengthen disaster prevention and society's resilience to hazards.
With the increasing occurrence of climate-related hazards caused by climate change, the role of education has become unequivocally clear and recognized in the prevention, mitigation, and preparedness of the population in regards to the environmental risk. Schools, family, and local communities can play a decisive role in reducing the severity of consequences caused by hazard through creating awareness and knowledge of natural disasters. In other words, there is a clear need to provide adequate education and training to prevent the impacts of natural-related disaster, more specifically to prevent disaster caused by flash flood.
The Disaster Management Board is greatly hopeful that the addition of climate studies into the national school curricula will increase awareness and propel youth action whilst enabling participation in the country's framework for building more resilient communities as part of the National Development Plan. UNESCO Program Officer Lamin Jaju lauded the initiative as timely, noting the urgent need to scale up climate and environmental studies from basic levels for integration into the university curriculum.
In the Gambia, if we are integrating disaster risk management, disaster risk reduction into the curriculum, it is a trend that we are taking that is very apt. Because we know that in the world disasters are inevitable, we cannot live without them, so therefore we will have to find ways through which we can mitigate and reduce their devastation. So the NDMA and the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education having this collaboration is very essential. I think the next thing that can happen is to stage it up or to scale it up so that disaster risk reduction or disaster risk management can also be taken specialization at the University of the Gambia.
The Deputy Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education explained how the integration of disaster risk reduction management will impact the minds of young children.
Integrating DRR in the curriculum is timely and has come at a time when the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, through its Curriculum Directorate, is reviewing our national curriculum. Disaster creates a lot of social, economic, and infrastructural damages in many countries, and the Gambia is no exception. And as we speak, this has already started yesterday following the windstorm, and some of our schools have already been blown up by the wind. So we already have started as a sector experiencing what disaster is all about.
A critical roundtable moving to integrate climate studies disasters management in the education system. This two-day convergence brings the country to a historic yet important crossroad expected to integrate disaster management studies into the national curriculum. The approach underpins a growing commitment to address climate change and build the necessary expertise to face emerging calamities in the Gambia. For GRTS News, I am Baba Silla.
Now we're staying with educational matters, and we now look at members of the Gambia Teachers Credit Union who today observed their annual delegate meeting held at a local hotel in Banjul. And as Khadija Bokum reports, the event is part of activities marking 25 years of the union's existence, with critical focus on its past activities and the way forward. We have details in this report.
Striving as a financial institution on the operation of principles of a cooperative union, the Gambia Teachers Union brings together delegates for an annual delegate meeting under the theme Financial Inclusion During a Pandemic, Balancing Profitability with Social Responsibility. Fode Sanyang, General Manager of NACUC, cumulates the activities of the union.
In the month of March 2020, we witnessed the declaration of a state of public emergency as a result of COVID-19 global pandemic. During these trying times, credit unions, including your own, worked together to fight the pandemic and instituted sound management practices to ensure we are able to contain the impact. Credit union movement also took proactive steps to prevent a possible spread of the virus among our members and in the communities we worked.
Addressing the social and economic challenges of its members, Babukar Oju, an active member of the founders of the union and the general manager of GTU-CCU, expands on the principles of the union.
The important thing is remembering our cooperative principles, remembering our philosophy, remembering the fact that as an offshoot of a trade union, we formed a credit union coming from a trade union background. Trade unions help us understand representation and advocate for improvements in our living and working conditions.
Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education reiterated the support of the ministry to the union, advising members on exemplary leadership.
Assurances are that we will never relent in our common good, in your welfare, and also the welfare of the children that are entrusted to us. So as leaders, when you're selecting people, select people who will get to that height and be able to make that decisive decision in your interest.
Celebrating the 25th anniversary of the union this year, Ismaila Cisse, president of the Gambia Teachers Union Cooperative, urges members to take stock of challenges and achievements encountered during the pandemic.
Fellow cooperators, I fervently call on you to unite as a bloc for one purpose, as that is the only way for us to significantly add energy to what we reckon. We should always defend the guiding principles that bind us together as a family of cooperators.
The GTU CCU is a registered credit union and affiliated with NACUB, set up in August 1996 to enable members of GTU to access affordable microfinance. Reporting for GRTS News, Khadija Bokum.
And moving on, the National Security Office, in partnership with the United Nations Development Programme, have concluded their 4-day Gender Caravan Awareness Raising campaign. More on the significance of the security sector reform program, which focused on the central and upper river regions, is GRTS's Yusuf Aboyang.
The tour was meant to raise awareness on the importance of gender security sector reform in order to build a cordial civil security relation. Speaking at various security installations, the Director of Monitoring and Coordination, Office of the National Security, Molai CFA Koli, explained that SSR generally is a comprehensive framework within which all security sector undergoes a process of transformation in order to promote the principles of democratic oversight, good governance and the rule of law.
Some people have the belief that security sector reform is about reducing the number of the servicemen. That is not about that. They need to train, they need to reform so that they can be at par to the level of other militaries. That's the reform. What we are doing now is to have the foundation. Before, we don't have an internal security policy that will tell us now what are the internal organs of the police, the immigration, the fire service, what are they going to do to respond to the needs of the people. We don't have that in place. So what we are doing is trying to come up with the policies and strategies so that the foundation can be there so that everything can work smoothly.
Omar B. Sonko of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency said gender-sensitive security sector reform is key to developing security sector institutions, while commending the UNDP for funding the sensitization tour.
There were gaps, and these gaps need to be addressed, but the only people who will address these people is ourselves. We should be ready to take up the responsibility and the challenge.
The URR Deputy Governor S.R.G. Conte said security sector reform is crucial in making development efforts effective, stressing that no sustainable development can take place without stable, effective and democratically accountable security institutions.
We cannot be stagnant in one place. Since time immemorial, there are things that were happening, and today they are still happening. And the world is moving. As the world is moving, we need to move together. In as much as we want to reform, whatever reform we have, whatever policy we have in place, whatever idea that we come up with, if the peoples are not ready to change their attitude, we cannot go anywhere.
Khalifa Jiba of Nyamanar Border Post said the awareness raising has enabled them better understand the overall objectives of SSR programs.
What we thought of this security sector reform is just to target certain officers and downsize. But your coming here have enlightened us. We are very much happy of that. Anyway, here is a border, and we are neighboring to Senegal, and we all know it's very porous. Security sector reform, there must be reform and restructures.
These regional security heads and officers in Upper River region also seized the opportunity to outline challenges confronting their sector. Yusuf Bojang, GRTS News.
And over now to some health issues, because the Gambia Family Planning Association, the GFPA, has concluded their 5-day training on community-based distribution of contraceptives. The program, funded by the United Nations Fund for Population Affairs, UNFPA, aims to promote safer family planning methods across the country for improved sexual and reproductive health practices. Khadija Juara picks up the rest of that story in this report.
The Family Planning Association, GFPA, recently wrapped up their 5-day training of community-based distributors. The program, funded by UNFPA, aims to promote family planning across the country. Speaking during the closing ceremony, the manager, GFPA, Momodou Njai, said the training aims to promote sexual and reproductive health and rights through advocacy, counseling and behavior change communication, and the provision of health care serving for couples.
And I think family planning has been hardworking in trying to implement public-private partnership in terms of lobbying forums with the Ministry of Health and other partners to ensure that our capacities are built. If capacities are not built, it will be difficult for us to do our work. However, even as regards to the community-based distributors.
Sekou Samusa of National Council GFPA promises to collaborate for quality sexual and reproductive health rights for all men and women in the country.
This newly selected group of community-based distributors are volunteers trained to provide contraceptive counseling and services in communities where they live. But these are the people, these are newly recruited batch which has been trained to provide contraceptive and reproductive health services in their different communities.
The Director of Population Affairs, Mariama Fane, said studies have shown that women who practice family planning can avoid high-risk births and therefore reduce their chance of maternal death or having a baby dying in infancy.
What I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that family planning is not just about contraception, but it has a lot of health implications. Because if you look at certain studies that have been done, it has been shown that women who practice family planning can avoid high-risk births and therefore reduce their chances of maternal death or having a baby dying.
Reporting for GRTS News, I am Khadija Tujuwara.
Now, the Gambia Maritime Administration and stakeholders are holding a two-day training session on liability and compensation in case of any oil spills in the Gambia's territorial waters. The training underway at the Baobab Hotel is virtually attended by international partners. Ibrahima Jallo covered the opening ceremony and he prepared this report.
This is knowledge and experience sharing with a view to strengthening capacities in handling oil spill incidents. The Gambia Maritime Administration and partner institutions, including the National Disaster Management Agency, Gambia Ports Authority, and the National Environment Agency, are joined by international partners virtually as the training opens. Olimatu Danso, legal officer, and Wandifa Sedili of the Gambia Maritime Administration, said the training is relevant in ensuring timely planning for unforeseen cases of liability and compensations regarding leakages of fossil fuel.
Gambia is a party to the Civil Liability Convention and also a Fund Convention. And it was party to it in the one for 1969 Civil Liability Convention and the Fund Convention of 72. But this has now been modified. This convention has now been modified by the international community. So the Gambia also has accepted to be bound by the provisions of the modified convention, which is the 1992 protocols of the Fund and the Civil Liability Convention, because the compensation package is much higher.
Participants say the training was needed for a better understanding of oil spill cases and legal implications attached by virtue of the revised international maritime regulations.
My expectation is that as a country and coming from a disaster management institution, our main mandate is to coordinate all kinds of disasters in this country. So when you talk about oil spill is also one of the disasters. So as a country, it will make us more prepared in terms of, if oil spill happen in our waters.
Although the Gambia is yet to experience major cases of oil spill, officials say the training is essential for any eventualities. Ibrahima Jallo, GRTS News.
Now, the Global Youth Parliament, the Gambia chapter, yesterday launched the Environmental Heroes Challenge in a quest to keep the environment clean and safe. The event attracted 3 regional chapters of the advocacy body in a thrilling exposition of African culture and heritage. This, as Sena Bujan reports.
One-of-a-kind event took place at the heart of Westfield's Youth Monument. People gathered to witness the grand entrances of their regional representatives for a pageantry that articulates the inherent culture and tradition. Baba Sise, country coordinator of the Global Youth Parliament Gambia chapter, spoke on the initiative, applauding Banjo and the Kanifing Municipal Councils.
These people are creating a battlefield for cleaning their environment. So at the end of the 3 months, we are going to find out which of the regions have the cleanest, within their red zone, have the cleanest, the most beautiful, and how they manage to impose the anti-littering law within that particular red zone. So how their people adopt it, that is very important. So the environmental heroes is not only here for just the Global Youth Parliament, it's here for all of us, because our environment matters. You go around the world, you see how clean their environment is. So Gambia should have an idea to maintain this environment as one of the cleanest environment in the country. Why not? Because we have the anti-littering law, but it's not enforced. So people keep going around and littering everywhere. I said our country should not look like a dustbin. Our country should look like one of the most cleanest and the most beautiful country in the world.
The regional team leader of the Global Youth Parliament, KM Chapter, and Bud Jollof of the Great Lions entered the youth monument in grand style. Fearless Tigers of Banjul, with their Jola King and Queen, followed, with the giant elephants of the West Coast region, led by their Mansa Musa. Deputizing for the deputy mayor of the Kanifing municipality, Wuraba deemed the initiative timely and significant.
We are very proud that this important event is being hosted within our municipality. As you are all aware, we have the head of anti-littering unit within us here. It goes to show that how important that the council takes environmental cleanliness. We invest huge resources and also put up administrative structures to ensure that we have a clean municipality. And we urge all and sundry to support the KMC as we strive to have a more clean KMC and by extension Gambia.
The event, entertained by prominent artist Barhama Cham, was cut short due to the heavy downpour. However, the face-to-face challenge on the environment will follow in a later date, with judges to determine winners. Zainabu Jan for GRTS News.
Well, from that interesting piece, we head for our first commercial break. When we come back, sports news would follow. Do stay.
Make your nights as bright as your days with AfriCell's new night bundle. Your night browsing experience has now been boosted by AfriMoney at the most affordable price. Enjoy the cheapest night bundle in the Gambia and feel the difference in comfort and speed. Activate the night bundle from your AfriMoney account and receive 1 gigabyte of data for $50 is only. Browse, stream, and talk all night long from 1 a.m. to 8 a.m. for only $50. Activate your AfriMoney account by dialing *777# and select Buy AfriCell Data to choose your night bundle valid for 24 hours. What more could you ask for? This bundle is only available through AfriMoney. Your AfriMoney account, your night browsing. Where AfriCell goes, nobody dares to follow.
CAF Africa Global is the first and biggest private estate developer in the Gambia and present in 7 other African countries. we take pride in leading innovation in all spheres of real estate sector in the Gambia and beyond. As such, we are launching the development of the first smart and modern office and retail towers in the Gambia called TAF Twins. The TAF Twins is located in the heart of the Kanifing institutional area and 10 minutes drive away from Banjul. TAF Twins is designed to have 5 floors of office spaces ranging from 50 square meters to over 1,000 square meters with 2 elevators, central air conditioning, 24 hours electricity and water supply, with the ground floor reserved for banking, supermarket, restaurant and coffee shop. For your bookings and reservations, please call now on 376-2333 or 776-2333. Thank you.
Welcome back to GRTS News at 2200 hours. And in sports now, Africell Company Gambia Limited recently presented a check for $50,000 to the winner of the Jam Promotion Wrestling Competition, Leket Bubara. As Famara Baji reports, the cash is meant to complement the rising champion's victory over his rival wrestler, France. Details in this report.
This is another achievement for the Niamey-based wrestler after beating France to win the much talked about wrestling flag, named after the famous Senegalese Mbalak superstar Youssou N'Dour, held at the Independence Stadium. Officials, as part of their corporate social responsibility, presented a check for $50,000 to Leket Bubara. Leket defeated France in this wrestling bout at the stadium. It was a tight fight, as the referees had to consult before deciding on the winner, and Leket was declared the winner. Several people, among them official officials, Leket and his team, plus wrestling enthusiasts, gathered at the official head office to witness the presentation ceremony.
As a company, we will do our utmost to make sure that sporting events become part of the Gambian livelihood, but this can only happen if we encourage, promote, sponsor, and finance sports. Look at football. Africell is in the forefront. You look at athletics, Africell is in the forefront. Wrestling, Africell is in the forefront. Therefore, being a leader comes with responsibilities, and Africell is ready, willing to shoulder its social responsibilities to make sure that as we develop as a company, Gambia as a nation equally develops.
The champion himself was full of praises for his supporters and the Africell company for empowering wrestlers in the country. One of his management team members re-echoed similar comments.
We are so much proud and so much happy with Africell because they have been there since they brand us as their brand ambassador. They have did all that they were supposed to do. And it doesn't stop at wrestling alone. We have seen them in the music field. We have also been seeing them in other entertainment fields. So we say a big thanks to Africell that they are giving back to the community at least.
The traditional sport is gaining huge popularity by the day, and such support by the GSM operator can help the wrestlers to excel in the sport. The presentation ceremony climaxed with some exciting displays by wrestlers. This cast presentation to the wrestling champion will serve as an encouragement to other wrestlers. Famara Baji, GRTS News.
Let's now head for our second commercial break. International news would follow right after. Do stay with us. Over now to the internationals, because at least one person has been reported dead in another bomb blast late Sunday in Beni city of North Kivu province in the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to local authorities, the death occurred after a homemade bomb exploded in a local church earlier Sunday morning. So far, a curfew has been imposed by the government of Congo following 3 coordinated bomb attacks with more anticipated. The latest tragedy came 3 weeks after a volcanic eruption hit Goma, displacing over 400,000 people. We have more in the CGTN report.
The military governor of Beni says he has imposed a curfew in the region after these attacks, and they have banned large gatherings. Markets, schools, churches and mosques are all closed because he said that they have information that the people who carried out these attacks are planning to carry out other bomb blasts. There were 3 in just a space of 2 days. 1 happened on Saturday and 2 happened on Sunday. There was one that you mentioned earlier, was a bomb was lobbed inside a church. 2 women were very badly injured, and the other one, eyewitnesses say, was a suicide bomber who blew himself up outside a bar in Beni. The authorities are saying that they're investigating and they've got some leads of who could have carried it out. Most of the attacks that have been carried out in the Beni region have been, by rebel groups who use machetes, guns, and sometimes burn people's houses. So this is indeed a new thing in the region, and the government says that they are very determined to ensure that they end the rebel activity in this region, because there are experts from the UN who have said that there is an Islamic rebel group that's originally from Uganda, known as the Allied Democratic Forces, that has been carrying out these attacks in Beni. They say there are more than 1,000 people who have been killed in that region since 2019. Now the government says they have already deployed troops to the area. Last week they deployed a number of troops to beef up the military governor who's on the ground trying to ensure that this area is gotten rid of all the rebels in the area. The people in the area are very worried because they are fearing to go out in large gatherings. They're saying this is something new. They might, be killed by these bombs, and so many of them are staying home as they monitor the situation. But the authorities are saying, I've urged people to remain calm and that they will get to the bottom of this.
Now, still on the international stories, Chinese and Russian leaders today said the 2 countries are extending a 20-year-old cooperation treaty. The announcement comes just 2 days ahead of the centenary commemoration of the Communist Party of China. The accord will defend the 2 countries' national unity and territorial integrity, particularly at a time both Moscow and Beijing are at odds with Western powers. CGTN again.
Largest neighboring countries have more worth celebrating this year. The 100th birthday of the CPC in just 2 days and the 20th anniversary of the signing of the China-Russia Treaty of Good Neighborliness and Friendly Cooperation in 3 weeks. Now, the leaders agreed to prolong the treaty.
Mutual trust has steadily grown over the past 2 decades, with steadfast political support and shared progress in various fields. The 2 countries' close cooperative relationship has used multilateralism in the United Nations, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, BRICS, Belt and Road Initiative to help resolve pressing global issues. The extension of the Friendship Treaty signifies an unprecedented high level for bilateral ties and an unwavering way forward for the 2 powers in a positive and healthy manner.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has described the Sino-Russian relations as matured, stable, solid, adding it can weather changes on the global stage. Russian President Vladimir Putin has extended wishes to China's continuous progress in economic and social development and its significant role in global affairs under the CPC's leadership. Both expressed opposition to unilateralism and interference in others' internal affairs in the protest of democracy and human rights. The latest meeting comes less than 2 weeks after the highly anticipated Geneva summit between President Putin and his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden. The Biden White House has scrambled to restore its relations with European allies at G7 and NATO and ease tensions with Russia amid what it calls growing competition with China.
China-Russia relations have a solid foundation. It hasn't been affected by other major powers, even though the U.S. has tried to meddle in it. The partnership has its inherent demand, and some negative interpretations are unfounded.
Experts say Beijing has been an ardent advocate for a new type of inter-country relationship, focusing on no conflict, non-confrontation, mutual respect, as well as win-win cooperation. China and Russia are looking to shed old great power politics driven by alliances and confrontation, spearheading this more inclusive form of international relations. CGTN, Beijing.
And that was all we had time for in this edition of the news at 2200 hours. But before we go, a quick look at our top stories this hour. President Barrow has inaugurated the new Gambian High Commission and Chancery in Riyadh as part of his week-long official visit to the Holy Kingdom. Actors and stakeholders in basic education convene a two-day conclave to integrate disaster risk reduction into the school's curriculum. Reviving Africa's culture and the Global Youth Parliament Gambia chapter launches the Environmental Heroes Challenge with a quest to keep the metropolis clean and safe. And in sports, Africell presents a check for $50,000 to rising wrestler Leket Bubara as champions of the Jam Promotion Wrestling Competition. On the internationals, the Congolese government has imposed a new curfew in Beni city of North Kivu province following Sunday's coordinated bomb attacks. Well, that was all in this edition of the news at 2200 hours. From me, Fatoumata Cham, and the entire news team, we thank you for watching and enjoy the rest of our very interesting programs.